My name is Elaine Parker, and at 32, I've spent the last decade building my career as a financial consultant at Preston & Associates. While my younger sister Melissa and my brother's wife Diana were busy starting their families, I was climbing the corporate ladder. Don't get me wrong, I love my job, but sometimes I wonder if I missed out on something along the way. No husband, no kids, just me in my corner office with a view of the city. It was a crisp Tuesday morning in September when my phone buzzed. Melissa's name flashed across the screen, and I answered while sorting through a stack of financial reports on my desk. "Hey Elaine," Melissa's voice chirped through the speaker. At 26, my younger sister had always been the bubbly one. "Got a minute for lunch today? I need to talk to you about something." "Sure, what's up?" I shuffled some papers aside, half listening as I reviewed my presentation for tomorrow's client meeting. 2 hours later, I found myself at Café Laurent, a trendy bistro downtown. Melissa was already there, sporting a new designer handbag that probably cost her a week's salary. "So you know Mom's turning 60 in November, right?" She stirred her latte, a calculated casual tone in her voice. "Well, we're planning something special and we need everyone to chip in." That got my attention. "Okay, how much are we talking about?" When Melissa named the figure, I nearly choked on my espresso. It was more than I'd spent on my last vacation, which, come to think of it, was 3 years ago. "I know it's a lot," Melissa rushed to add, showing me photos of potential venues on her phone, "but it's for Mom, you know? And you're doing so well with your job and everything." No, it's fine," I said, already pulling up my banking app as Melissa conveniently excused herself to the restroom. "I'll transfer it right now." When she returned, she beamed at me. "Great. Oh, and one more thing, make sure you take a week off work in November for the celebration. Don't plan anything else for that time, okay? Lucy is so excited to spend time with her Aunt Elaine." The next few weeks flew by in a blur of meetings and client presentations. I'd occasionally wonder what my sister was planning with all that money, but whenever I texted to ask, she'd respond with vague messages and emojis. Eventually, work took over, and Mom's birthday slipped to the back of my mind. One evening in early October, my phone lit up with a notification from our family group chat. I was in the middle of preparing for a major client presentation, but the preview caught my eye: a Mom's birthday plans finalized. I opened the message to find Melissa had shared several photos of a stunning vineyard estate. "Everyone, we've booked Sunstone Winery Resort in Napa Valley for Mom's 60th. November 12th to 19th. 7 days of wine tasting, spa treatments, and gourmet dining." My heart raced with excitement as I scrolled through pictures of elegant rooms overlooking rolling vineyards bathed in autumn colors. Mom was already responding with heart emojis, Dad was asking about the golf course, and Diana was going on about the spa packages. I quickly typed, "This looks amazing. Which room am I in? I need to pack my wine tasting outfit." The chat went silent. The typing indicators appeared and disappeared several times from different family members. My stomach tightened as I stared at the screen, waiting. Finally, Mom responded, "Honey, we need to discuss arrangements for the children." I felt a cold wave wash over me as more messages started flooding in. "Diana, the resort is adults only for most activities. Someone needs to watch Jason and the twins." "Melissa, Lucy really wants to spend time with her Aunt Elaine." My cousin Nathan jumped in next, perfect timing. "The boys have been asking when they'll see you again." My fingers trembled as I typed, "Wait, am I not staying at the resort with everyone?" The typing indicators appeared and disappeared again. My heart pounded in my chest. "Vivian, my mother, actually dear, we were hoping you could watch all the kids at Melissa's place while we're away. They love their Aunt Elaine so much." I stared at my phone in disbelief as more messages appeared. "Diana, you're so good with them. Jason has been talking about you all week. Olivia, Pete's already packed his favorite games to play with you." I gripped my phone tightly, feeling my throat constrict. But I contributed to the cost of this trip. I requested time off work. I want to celebrate with everyone too. The chat went eerily quiet for several minutes before Diana responded, "Come on, Elaine, you'll be bored there anyway. It's going to be couples-focused activities." Bored? I typed, my anger building. How would you know if I'd be bored? Well, Diana replied, "You're great with the kids, they adore you, and let's be honest, it's not like you need a break from family life like the rest of us do." My chest felt like it was being crushed. What's that supposed to mean? Melissa jumped in, "She just means you don't have children or a husband to get away from. The rest of us, we need this break. You understand, right?" "You always do." I stared at my glowing screen as tears blurred my vision. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break down. Instead, I simply wrote, "I need to finish my work. We'll talk later." I shut off my phone and tossed it across the couch. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my condo, I could see the city lights blinking in the distance, suddenly feeling very alone despite the view. 10 years of putting everyone else first. Of being the responsible one, the reliable one. And this is what I got in return. The worst part wasn't even the babysitting request, it was how casually they'd assumed I'd agree. The way they'd planned this whole thing without me, using my money, my time, my vacation days, without even asking, as if I was just a resource to be used, not a member of the family to be included. I spent half the night pacing around my condo, my heels clicking angrily against the hardwood floors. My mind raced through every family gathering, every holiday, every moment when I dropped everything to help someone else. The memories came flooding back, each one taking on a new, darker meaning in light of tonight's events. There I was at 16, making dinner while Mom helped Diana with her art project. Me at 18, turning down a spring break trip with friends to watch Melissa while our parents took a weekend getaway. At 21, working 2 jobs during college to help pay for my brother's wedding to Diana. The memories kept flashing through my mind, year after year, sacrifice after sacrifice. "Elaine, can you watch Jason for a few hours?" Diana's voice echoed in my head. "I really need to meet this design client." "Elaine, would you mind taking the twins for the weekend?" Nathan's familiar request played back like a broken record. "Olivia's overwhelmed with Pete, and you're so good with kids." I'd always said yes. Always. Even when I had important client meetings the next day. Even when I was exhausted from my own 60-hour work week. I'd taken pride in being the reliable one, the responsible sister, the perfect daughter. I collapsed onto my couch, the leather cool against my skin as tears of frustration burned my eyes. The photo albums on my coffee table caught my eye, family vacations where I was always the one behind the camera. Holiday gatherings where I was always in the kitchen while everyone else laughed in the living room. When was the last time someone had asked me what I wanted? "It's not like you need a break from family life." Melissa's words kept echoing in my head, the dismissal stinging like a slap. As if my life, my career, my choices were somehow less valid because I wasn't married with children. As if all my sacrifices meant nothing because they didn't fit their definition of what mattered. Sleep didn't come easily that night. I tossed and turned, my stomach knotted with anger as I remembered how I'd worked through college on a scholarship, determined not to burden my parents financially. How I'd started my career immediately after graduation, helping to pay for Melissa's education. All those late nights at the office, climbing the corporate ladder, sending chunks of my salary home to help with family expenses. By morning, exhaustion had given way to clarity. I wasn't a confrontational person, never had been. There had to be a way to resolve this peacefully, to make them understand without causing a family rift. So I did what I'd always done when there was a problem, I tried to fix it. I waited until after my morning coffee to respond in the family group chat. Taking a deep breath, I typed out my solution. "I've been thinking about the Napa trip. I'd like to suggest a compromise. I'll pay for a professional nanny service with excellent references to stay with the children. That way, everyone can enjoy Mom's birthday celebration together." I pressed send and watched as everyone's icons showed they'd read my message. The typing indicators appeared and disappeared several times. The silence stretched uncomfortably long. Finally, Mom responded, "That won't work, Elaine. We can't trust strangers with the children. They need someone familiar." I felt my chest tighten as I typed, "Mom, I want to be part of your celebration too." I contributed financially and took time off work. I can find a highly recommended childcare service. My phone rang. Mom's face appeared on the screen. I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Elaine," her voice was sharp, cutting me off before I could speak. "You know you're not exactly comfortable in social situations like this. You'd probably be anxious with all the wine tastings and couple activities anyway. The children adore you, and you're good with them. It's perfect for everyone." "It's not perfect for me," I said, my voice quivering slightly. "I want to." The call ended abruptly. I stared at my phone in disbelief. She'd hung up on me. Before I could process what had happened, my phone buzzed with a private message from Melissa. "How dare you?" The words blazed across my screen. "Mom just told me about your ridiculous babysitter idea. Are you trying to ruin everything?" My fingers trembled as I replied, "Ruin everything? I'm trying to find a solution that works for everyone, including me." "We already have a solution," came her immediate response. "Everything's planned, Elaine. Everything. The resort is booked, the wine tours are scheduled, the spa treatments are reserved, and now you're being completely selfish." The accusation stung like a physical blow. "I'm being selfish?" "Yes, you are. We've been planning this for weeks. Everyone's excited. The itinerary is perfect. And now you want to change everything because you can't just do this one thing for Mom on her 60th birthday." My stomach churned with anger. "One thing? Are you serious? You know what? If you ruin Mom's birthday celebration, don't bother calling me again. I mean it, Elaine." I stared at her last message, a wave of nausea washing over me. As I tried to process my sister's threat, a notification from Instagram appeared. Diana had tagged me in a story. It was a photo of Jason holding a drawing of stick figures labeled Aunt Elaine and me with hearts around it. The caption read, "Someone can't wait for his special week with his favorite aunt. #family first, #bonding time." Then came the text messages from Diana. "Family needs to stick together. We all help each other out. Remember when I designed your business cards last year for free? The kids love you so much. Why can't you just think about what's best for them instead of being so selfish?" My fingers flew across the keyboard. A real family doesn't take advantage of each other. A real family includes everyone in their plans. A real family doesn't manipulate and guilt-trip each other. I watched as she read my message, but no response came. Instead, I received a text from Aunt Pamela, "Your mother is very upset. After all she's sacrificed for you." Then from Nathan, "The boys have been counting the days until they see you." That's when it hit me like a thunderbolt. The calculated way they'd asked for money without explaining what it was for. The careful way they told me to take time off work without mentioning the winery. The way they'd announced their plans in the group chat, as if everything was already set in stone. They'd planned this all along. While I was working late nights preparing financial analyses, while I was babysitting their kids, while I was being the perfect daughter and sister, they were secretly arranging this trip. They'd used my money, arranged my schedule, and planned to dump 5 children on me without so much as a proper conversation. And now that I wasn't playing along with their script, they were coordinating a full-scale attack of guilt, threats, and emotional blackmail to force me back into the role they'd assigned me. Something strange happens when you finally see through the fog of manipulation. Suddenly, everything becomes crystal clear. The weight of obligation that had been crushing me for years seemed to lift. The guilt that had been my constant companion was replaced by something powerful and unfamiliar, determination. I opened my laptop, determination flowing through me like electricity. Within an hour, I had booked a luxury suite at Silverado Vineyard Resort in Napa Valley, purposely choosing the exact same dates as my family's trip, but at an even more exclusive property just 15 minutes from theirs. The suite featured a private terrace overlooking rolling vineyards, a soaking tub, and a king bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. I even splurged on a premium wine tour package. After all, I had plenty of money since I wouldn't be babysitting 5 children. The next few days at work were surprisingly productive. My family had stopped messaging me. They probably thought I was home preparing for a week of childcare, maybe buying extra snacks and planning activities. The thought made me smile as I arranged for my assistant to handle my clients during my absence. Taking a wine country vacation right before Thanksgiving? My colleague Marcus asked when he saw me researching Napa Valley restaurants on my lunch break. Sometimes you need to choose yourself, I replied, surprised by how liberating the words felt as they left my lips. The morning of my departure, I took one last look around my immaculate condo. I'd cleaned everything meticulously, a force of habit, I suppose. The emptied fridge, the properly secured windows, everything in perfect order. Just like always. Except this time, I wouldn't be here to answer any desperate phone calls for emergency childcare. As my hired car pulled away from my building, I switched my phone to Do Not Disturb and allowed myself to relax into the leather seat. No family group chat, no manipulative texts, no guilt trips. Just me, wine country, and a whole week of freedom. The Napa Valley air greeted me with the scent of ripening grapes in sun-warmed earth when I arrived at the resort. Vine-covered hills rolled into the distance, their leaves turned to gold and crimson in the autumn light. My suite was even more stunning than the online photos had promised. The terrace offered a breathtaking panorama of the valley, and I could see the mist rising from the vineyards in the distance. That first afternoon, I took a guided tour of the estate vineyard, savoring the rich history and complex process of winemaking. When was the last time I'd done something like this? When was the last time I'd done anything just for me? I joined a small wine tasting group, enjoyed dinner at the resort's Michelin-starred restaurant where no one needed me to cut their food or clean up their spills, and fell asleep in the luxurious king bed without setting an alarm for the morning. On my second day, I took several photos of myself enjoying a private tasting with the vineyard's sommelier and posted them to Instagram with the caption, "Sometimes you need to invest in yourself." Hashtag Napa Valley, hashtag wine tasting, hashtag self-care, knowing my family would see them. My last morning in Napa Valley, I savored my final moments of peace on the terrace, watching the sunrise paint the vineyards with golden light. I knew I'd have to turn my phone back on eventually, face whatever digital storm I'd left behind. But I hadn't expected quite what I found when my phone finally reconnected to the world. It erupted with notifications. Messages, voicemails, missed calls, hundreds of them. The timestamps showed they started exactly when my family's trip was supposed to begin, 5 days ago. My heart raced as I began scrolling through them. The first messages were in the family group chat. "Melissa, where are you? We're all at my place with the kids ready for you. Diana, Elaine, we're trying to call you. The Uber to the airport is coming in 20 minutes. Nathan, hey, we brought the boys over like planned. Are you stuck in traffic? Olivia, Elaine, what's going on? Pete keeps asking where you are." As I read through the messages, my stomach tightened. I could visualize the scene perfectly: my sister, my brother's wife, and my cousins standing in Melissa's living room with 5 confused children, their designer luggage packed for the winery resort, their carefully orchestrated plans disintegrating around them. The tone of the messages evolved quickly from confusion to panic. "Elaine, this isn't funny. Where are you? Answer your phone. What are we supposed to do with the kids? You can't just disappear like this." Then rage erupted across my screen. Melissa's messages turned vicious. "You selfish bitch, how could you do this to us?" To MOM? "Diana wasn't any better. I can't believe you're this immature and petty. Mom's birthday weekend is ruined because of you." My Aunt Pamela's messages made me flinch. "You ungrateful little princess with your fancy job and empty life, you've destroyed everything." These children were counting on their aunt. Mom's messages appeared later that evening. I am beyond disappointed in you, Elaine. I never thought you'd be this heartless, after everything we've sacrificed for you. Dad, who rarely used the group chat, had sent just one message: your mother hasn't stopped crying. I hope you're satisfied with your behavior. The voicemails were even more brutal. I could hear the rage, the accusations, the bitter disappointment in their voices. Messages from extended family members I hadn't spoken to in months suddenly appeared in my inbox, all of them condemning my selfish betrayal. You've always been so dependable. How could you abandon your own family like this? Those poor children were devastated. You've destroyed what should have been a beautiful celebration. Between the tirades were scattered photos they'd sent to guilt me: Lucy crying, Jason looking sad, the twins clutching their backpacks. Weaponized children. I sat there in my sun-drenched suite, reading message after message, hearing voicemail after voicemail, learning exactly what my family thought of me when I finally stopped being their convenient solution. The words they used, the names they called me, the assumptions they made about my character. It was like meeting a whole new family, one that had been hiding behind filtered Instagram photos and casual requests for just a small favor. Without responding to any of them, I finished my gourmet breakfast, packed my designer luggage, and checked out of the resort. It was time to go home. But I wasn't the same Elaine who had arrived in Napa Valley 5 days ago. That Elaine might have apologized, might have felt guilty, might have tried to make it up to everyone. But that Elaine was gone. The evening after I returned home, I received a group text from my mother: family video call. 7 p.m. Non-negotiable. I considered ignoring it, but decided this confrontation was inevitable. At exactly 7 p.m., I opened my laptop and joined the video call. 5 angry faces filled my screen, Mom front and center, with Melissa and Diana flanking her sides, Nathan and Olivia in the corners. All of them stone-faced, all of them waiting. Do you have any idea what you've done? Melissa launched in before I could speak, her face contorted with rage. You ruined everything. I sat back in my ergonomic office chair, the same chair where I'd taken countless calls from them begging for childcare, financial help, and emotional support. The familiar buzz of anxiety started in my chest, but I took a deep breath and stayed silent. The husbands refused to stay with the kids, Diana spat out. They both suddenly had important work commitments, so Melissa had to stay home with all 5 children while we went to the winery. She missed the entire celebration because of you. The whole trip was a disaster, Mom added, her voice trembling with controlled fury. I noticed she was wearing the cashmere sweater I'd bought her last Christmas. Nobody could enjoy themselves. All we did was talk about how you betrayed us, how you let everyone down. Your father couldn't even focus on his golf game, he was so upset. They continued their digital assault, talking over each other, faces getting closer to their cameras as their accusations grew more dramatic. The more they talked, the more absurd their entitlement became, until something inside me broke, but not in the way they expected. I started laughing. The sound of my laughter cut through their accusations like a knife. They stopped mid-sentence, their faces freezing on my screen as if someone had hit pause. What's so funny? Mom demanded, her face flushing darker in the bluish light of her screen. What could possibly be amusing about this situation? I wiped tears of laughter from my eyes. Don't you see how ridiculous this is? Do you really not understand how absurd you all sound right now? Absurd? Diana sputtered, her designer glasses sliding down her nose. What's absurd about? Let me break this down from a financial perspective, I interrupted, my laugh fading but my voice taking on the professional tone I used with clients. You secretly planned this entire trip using $5,000 of my money. You decided, without consulting me, that I would provide approximately 120 hours of childcare valued at roughly $3,600. You told me to use my limited vacation days worth approximately $4,800 in salary. That's $13,400 of value you expected me to contribute, and in return, I received, what exactly? The silence was deafening. I could see their eyes darting to each other on the screen. But you've always helped before, Mom said, her voice smaller now, confused. And that's exactly the problem, I continued, my confidence growing. Because I always helped, you started treating me like an ATM and a free nanny service. You stopped seeing me as a daughter or a sister and started seeing me as a resource to be exploited. You stopped considering my feelings, my plans, my life. That's not true, Melissa protested, but her eyes dropped from the camera. Really? I raised an eyebrow. Then why didn't you include me in the planning? Why didn't you show me the resort website before booking? Why didn't you ask if I wanted to go to the winery? Why did you just assume I'd be happy to stay behind with 5 children while everyone else celebrated? I watched their pixelated faces, hoping to see some recognition, some understanding of how they'd treated me. Instead, I saw their expressions harden. You're being selfish, Mom said, her voice icy. You've ruined my birthday. You've hurt your sister. You've disappointed the children. This isn't how your father and I raised you. I felt the last thread of hope snap. No, Mom. You're the ones being selfish. This entire situation is a result of your entitlement and manipulation. Mom's face filled my screen as she leaned forward. If that's how you feel, then perhaps I don't have a daughter named Elaine anymore. If that's what you want, Mom, I said quietly and clicked the end call button. It's been 2 months since that final video call. 2 months of digital silence, broken only by the occasional notification when one of my family members makes another passive-aggressive post on social media. Some people only think about themselves and their careers, Mom posted last week, featuring a photo of her in the sweater I bought her, surrounded by grandchildren. A dozen sympathetic comments followed from relatives and family friends who only know her carefully curated version of events. Family should always come first, Melissa shared yesterday with a photo of Lucy in a new outfit. So blessed to have people in my life who understand what truly matters. #FamilyFirst #priorities. Diana's latest was a long Instagram caption about toxic relationships and how career-obsessed people miss out on life's true joys. She didn't tag me, of course, but her pointed references to materialistic values and empty success made it obvious who she meant. A few months ago, these digital barbs would have pierced me deeply. I would have spent hours crafting responses in my head, losing sleep over their words, wondering if maybe they were right. But now I scroll past them, sometimes with a small smile at how predictable their manipulation tactics have become. I've transformed my life. Instead of spending my weekends on standby for emergency childcare calls, I've joined a wine appreciation society that meets at different vineyards each month. The first meeting felt almost illicit, sipping a complex Cabernet on a Saturday morning, knowing my phone wouldn't buzz with a desperate text from one of my relatives. Last week, I accepted a promotion that will require occasional international travel. I didn't have to check with anyone's schedule or make sure it wouldn't interfere with someone else's childcare needs. I just recognized a perfect career opportunity and seized it. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I think about my nieces and nephews. I miss their genuine laughs and curious questions, but not the way they were weaponized against me. I hope that someday, when they're older, they'll understand why I stepped back. Maybe they'll even recognize these toxic patterns in their own lives and choose differently. I've changed the locks on my condo. I should probably mail the old keys to my parents, but something stops me each time I consider it. Maybe part of me hopes that one day they'll understand, that they'll recognize how their expectations were unfair, how they exploited my love and loyalty. That they'll realize family doesn't mean sacrificing your identity to meet everyone else's demands. But I'm not putting my life on pause while waiting for that epiphany. For the first time, I'm prioritizing my needs and aspirations, and it feels remarkably right. Yesterday, I muted all family-related social media accounts. I didn't announce it or try to justify myself. I simply removed myself from one more source of manipulation, one more channel of guilt. Some might call this selfishness, my family certainly does. But I've discovered that there's a profound difference between selfishness and self-preservation. Sometimes the healthiest choice you can make is to distance yourself from people who only value you for what you can provide them. 3 days ago, I received a small envelope in the mail. Inside was a crayon drawing from Jason, a stick figure with yellow hair standing beside a smaller figure. No message, no explanation. I don't know if Diana knows he sent it, but I've framed it and placed it on my desk. A reminder that authentic connections exist beyond obligation, and perhaps someday, on better terms, we might rebuild what was lost.